Hi, everybody. My name is Joe with Blue Matter, and welcome back to our series on the make or break factors for companies transitioning from a clinical stage to a commercial stage. We wanted to use this video as an opportunity to tie together three factors that we published on most recently: gathering the right customer insights early, using those insights to inform decisions around clinical development, and using those insights to inform what's going to be required to eventually commercialize the product, whether you do go alone or partner it out with another company. The most important place to start is to understand where your product is going to fit in the overall treatment paradigm. By understanding the treatment flow and the unmet needs, not just within the treatment flow today, but what that will look like in the future, will help inform how that product needs to look. A central part of understanding the treatment flow is understanding who the decision makers within the treatment flow are. So in addition to the prescribers, there are a number of other stakeholders across the treatment journey that can play a pretty big role. Payers are a notable stakeholder that we'll dive deeper into in a moment, but there are a number of other stakeholders that we don't have time to cover in this video, including patients, nurses, caregivers, a whole host of other stakeholders that can influence decisions. And so figuring out who the decision makers are and what decisions they inform is critical early on. Let's dive into payers for a moment. These are the stakeholders that will eventually create access and reimburse the product for the patients and physicians who use them. Understandably, if you don't have access and reimbursement at launch, your product won't be used because it won't be paid for by the right people. A lot of times payers make decisions not just based on clinical factors, but also based on economic factors. Is the benefit that we are receiving with this drug worth the cost of us reimbursing this drug? And they'll look at this not just on a patient level, but on a population level. So the evidence they need to make a decision is usually only partly covered by what's included in a registrational clinical trial. Companies can address this by, one, making sure that you have the right endpoints in the clinical trial to support a cost-benefit analysis, and two, identifying what additional evidence needs to be generated early so that when you enter discussions with payers on the value and eventually coverage and reimbursement of a drug, you have the evidence to back up the story you're trying to tell. Naturally, not doing this early enough means that when a product launches, there are either gaps in that evidence, which can lead to lack of reimbursement, or that the company needs to sort of play catch up and generate this evidence quickly or in a delayed way, which can further delay reimbursement. So those are a couple examples of how getting the right insights early can inform development decisions. But let's talk about how those exact same types of insights can inform what's going to be required to commercialize. For example, by deeply understanding our customers and what they need, we can determine how much we need to invest in a commercial and medical affairs presence that is going to drive differentiation, interface with customers to shift beliefs and behaviors, generate additional evidence to support some of these belief shifts that, again, might not be present in the clinical trial. On the access side, we talked about doing a robust access landscape and making sure that we generate the right evidence so that payers can make decisions to cover our product. Similarly, by doing this landscape, we can identify what's going to help us or hinder us in securing access and reimbursement, and whether this is going to be a slam dunk where we may not need to overinvest in this area, or whether there are going to be a lot of challenges and we need to have the right capabilities within our access team to anticipate and overcome these challenges as they arise. By doing all of this research smartly and early, we can figure out what sorts of capabilities, activities, people we are going to need in our team, and when we're going to need to start doing these things so that we can be ready at day one for a successful launch. So clearly in a 2 or 3 minute video, we don't have enough space to explore all of the different dots to connect between gathering the right insights, making decisions for product development, and figuring out what's going to be required to commercialize. But hopefully this has given a nice teaser. If you want to learn more, please check the articles linked within this post for more detail. Coming up next in this series, we'll talk a little bit more on how companies can choose the best path forward once they have all of this information. Do you go alone or do you partner? What does that look like across products and geographies? There can be a lot of options on the table, so we'll talk through how you might remove options quickly and minimize organizational swirl. Until next time.